Ladies and gents, how are you doing? Social media today is still awash, completely, well, aflame with rage over Henry Novak's death. Sorry, murder. Murder at the hands of an imported killer backed by the state. So you might think today's video would be a little bit sombre, but no, definitely not. Because fortunately, you live in the United Kingdom where you are governed by the thickest people imaginable. And they insist on always, inadvertently, doing the stupidest things you can possibly imagine, therefore providing me with an endless font of comedy gold so we can keep laughing as the world burns. Now, I've just mentioned that the entirety of the general public is burning with fury today about the overt anti-white racism of the British government. So what do you think David Lammy...
If it feels like neighbourhood policing has vanished, it's not around you. We haven't seen a police while I've been here, and I've been here for a little while now.
What do you think one of the dumbest men in politics has done today? Have a guess. If you sat there thinking, surely he hasn't just announced a purposely racist policy, well done, got it in one. UK expands prostate cancer trial for black men at the highest risk. And the Deputy Prime Minister, Lamtron, whose brothers live with the disease, welcomed the step, saying 18 million in new funding will mean that all eligible black men in England without recent tests will soon receive invitations for PSA and MRI scans. Well, you picked the perfect time to do this, Dave. There we go, from the moron's mouth. International mastermind champion of the century, David Lamtron, said today we're stepping up the fight against prostate cancer. Black men face a significantly higher risk of developing and dying from the disease. That's why we're taking action by ensuring all eligible blacks are invited to join a vital new trial. Early diagnosis saves lives. You couldn't make it up, could you? I mean, do it. Do it on the sly. Who would pick today of all days, while social media's ablaze with fury, righteous fury? Why would you take today of all days to announce a specifically racist policy that seems to confirm everything that the general public, the outraged general public, has been saying for the last 3 days? Namely, that the state cares more about the alien, the outcast, the foreigner, the outsider, much, much more than the native inhabitants of the country. And MRI scans cost a lot of money. And who do you think's paying for it? Because have you seen the employment numbers? Grok will tell you what the BBC never will. Men of one particular hue in the United Kingdom, particularly those of Caribbean and other black backgrounds, have a notably higher unemployment rate than white British men. Recent ONS data shows unemployment for others at 16.6%, Black Caribbean at 12 to 13%, compared to 5% for white British men. Overall, their unemployment sits at around 10% versus under 4% for whites, with men in these groups often showing elevated rates. Oh, we know that. We know that. You can't let something as trivial as a full-time job get in the way of a flourishing drill rap and drug dealing career. Okay, so I mean, it's not entirely their fault. Those two things have some cultural value. I would just suggest that, being a scaffolder or a painter and decorator, it'd be slightly more valuable, building instead of destroying. I think my point's been made. Kemi Badenoch put this out in the middle of 2020, saying that BLM does matter, and if we're truly going to tackle racism and improve the lives of, but again, it seems like all they do is pander to the new boys in town. If we're going to achieve true equality, we have to do so by moving beyond platitudes and stereotypes. Listen, Arlene, that's Garfield's girlfriend, if you don't remember her. You could fit a £2 coin through the middle of her teeth, is what I'm getting at. I think the video of Henry being accosted by the coppers after he'd already been stabbed up by foreigners. I think that, and now Lamtron's ridiculous tone-deaf, thick-as-whale spunk statement after 3 days of fury proves beyond any doubt, and the employment numbers and the education figures are just the cherry on top. They prove beyond any doubt that not only have we got true equality, no, we've way went past that. We've far exceeded anything even remotely linked to equality. When 3.4% of white lads are out of work and they're paying all the bills for the 17% that aren't and refuse to and won't work. Because think about it logically. If all of the data suggests that group in particular gets extra special treatment, and we just saw numbers about this last week saying that since 2020, for every one young English kid hired, 27 foreigners got hired. When we know all of that and those famous education statistics that I'm sick of showing you, but I'll put them up just in case you knew. This one, where the poorest among us, people on free school meals, if you're a white kid on free school meals, living in a council estate, you ain't going to university. But if you're a minority group on free school meals living in a council estate, well, 59% of them get to go to university. So think of it, with all of that in mind, we've got the treatment of Henry at the hands of the police. We've got the statements from the shadow PM, the Conservatives and everybody in the Houses of Parliament. I mean, I don't even need to cover the shite that Ed Davey comes out with. We've got the statewide cover-up of the industrial scale diddler gangs, because swarthy chaps are far more important to the British government than the people that built the nation. Certainly the forebears did. Yeah, they did. York Minster and St Paul's Cathedral didn't get put up by Bangladeshis in 1975. No. Well, we were ticking over quite nicely when the Windrush turned up, thanks very much. When all that comes together, this perfect storm of hard evidence, facts and data, we've got the educational statistics, we've got the employment statistics, 27 non-EU migrants hired for every young Brit since 2020. We've got that. We've got the behaviour of the Prime Minister, which incidentally is also funny today, isn't it? Because they're crying about that, saying, oh, Nigel Farage, Rupert Lowe, how dare they politicise a young man's death? With the neck of 1,000 giraffes, these people say it. James O'Brien was crowing about it on LBC today. There it is. He said, it's inflammatory, it's extremist, it's divisive, it's everything the family didn't want. Nigel Farage is using Henry's death to score political points, right? Just hold that thought. Political point scoring. Because he's angry. Because everybody's angry. But that's not political point scoring. No, that's fine, that. The ginger growler and the androgynous android took a knee for a foreign drug addict killed 3,000 miles away. Sorry, who died because he was on shitloads of drugs. His bloodstream was positively alive with wacky chemicals. And apparently this required the PM and Madame Mortgage Fraud to take a knee for a convict from 3,000 miles away, but not taking a knee for a British citizen. That's fine. I just want to know, how is that top one not political point scoring, using a tragedy for political point scoring? But Nigel Farage saying what everybody's thinking, apparently that's beyond the pale. Yeah, cheers then, James. Sorry, I went off on a tangent there. Point I'm getting at is, Kemi's statement is ridiculous, O'Brien's statement is ridiculous. We went way past equality years ago. And the fact that 20% of the newcomers from a slightly sunnier climate aren't working is entirely a choice because they don't want to, because they know they can have a great quality of life if Muggins pays for all their stuff and pulls the pudding out carrying bricks in the rain 5 days a week. That's a choice. Every piece of data proves the UK is now overtly and aggressively hostile towards the natives and lionises, promotes and celebrates the foreign. So don't tell me they can't get a job because, racism. The facts and data's all there. The educational statistics, the spending, the housing, the NHS. It's an official government policy. You're now less likely to get ill if you're lucky enough to hail from
way down deep in the middle of the Congo.
It's absolutely ridiculous. So I think there's plenty for you to be digesting there, isn't there? Data, facts, statistics, logic. I know those things enrage the left, so if you're watching all this and you don't like any of it, type me a comment and tell me why. The people who get the most money from the NHS, the most money from the schools and universities, the most money off the government, the biggest council houses, the most freebies, and infinitely preferential treatment from the Rozzers. You tell me why those people can't get a job. Alright, thanks for tuning in, Noel. Let me know what you think down below, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Toodle pip. Cheers.